I'm recording now. Now it's
okay.
recording. So I can move back a little bit as long as I keep my knees hidden, because nobody needs to see that. People unsubscribe. Anyway, right, you ready?
Yeah.
I'm quite excited about this video.
I'm very excited.
It's one of the highlights of the year. And I can't predict what's going to happen. Anyway, hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Simon and today I am back with my mum Louise.
Hello.
As we are going to be going through our Women's Prize Shortlist preference list. It always sounds a bit odd saying it like that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful.
But also it's just like, this was hard. I think this is the hardest
Really
shortlist in a long time.
I love these books.
I love most of these books. That's how I'm going to put it. But yeah, for those of you who are new to the channel, me and my mum read the long list of the Women's Prize together every year. We go through the long list and predict our shortlist. Then we see what the real shortlist is, and we then give that our order of preference from, I don't like the term least favourite either.
No, just...
From sixth to first.
Yes.
This will be going live not long before the actual winner is announced, but do let us know in the comments down below what you would like to see win. And any videos you'd like to see us make before April, when it all starts all over again.
Yeah.
April
I don't know what we're going to do with ourselves.
Well, we'll have no reason to speak.
No, I know.
Anyway, so, right, Mum, you go first.
Okay.
What is your sixth favourite? Or do you want to talk about the shortlist overall? Because we have said it's really tough.
I mean, only to say that I've found this almost impossible. I mean, I do every year, but it was difficult last year. It's really difficult this year. I loved all six of them. And it's like trying to choose your best friend out of six. You know what I mean?
Or your favourite child. Hi, Miriam and Seth. Anyway.
Yes, moving swiftly on.
Swiftly on for the awkward giggle that my mum just did there.
It was hard.
Yeah. I found this shortlist, because the long list I found almost a bit divided. This feels very together.
Homogenous.
Yes, I wouldn't have used that word because I wouldn't have thought of it. But yes, now that you've said
Good job I'm here.
I totally agree. Yes, homogenous reads, a new channel from Louise. Right, come on, we're dawdling. It's time to do it. We said we'd do this fast as well.
I know, right. I'm in.
So what's your sixth one?
So what's sixth?
We don't reveal them at the same time, do we? Is that how we used to do it? No, I don't think we do. I think we do it in order.
Yeah. So, my sixth choice was Transcendent Kingdom by Gayassi. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I think it is. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. Which is a brilliant, wonderful book. And I think I said, you know, when we talked about it when we did the long list,
which I'll link down below.
Yeah, I love the fact that it's a female protagonist who is a neuroscientist. I love the scientific exploration because that's quite an alien world to me. So I felt I was taken to a place in this novel that I've rarely been to in fiction. And that's why I think it's worthy of being on the shortlist.
I'm grinning because already I feel like this is going to be the most different we've chosen between us. It's going to be this is going to be quite interesting. Sorry.
So what's your sixth? My
sixth, I think you can probably guess what my sixth is.
Yes,
because I've always had, not a least favourite, but one that I haven't connected with as well as I have with the others. And that is No One Is Talking About This by Patricia Lockwood, which is a really, really interesting look at social media. It's an account of a woman who's very much living that life and living more in the internet world than the real world until the real world really comes to the fore and everything changes. And I think I reread it again because I felt like I'd been a bit hard on it in the long list. And what I loved, I liked more.
Right.
But what I didn't annoyed me more.
Yeah.
I felt a bit gobbledygooky on occasion.
I think it's a real Marmite one, that one.
Yeah. So that was my sixth, but that's six out of a great list.
Yeah.
So there's my number six. What's your number five?
So number five, again, I just...
Oh no, it's gone in a different order.
What?
I thought you knocked them over and they were out of order.
No, this is number five, Unsettled Ground by Claire Fuller, which again, I just think is a beautiful, beautiful book. It's so
Don't you hide your face behind that book, Louise. Don't you do that.
I don't know, might be better for the viewer. So, no, I love the sibling relationship. I love the fact that it was middle-aged characters who are at the fore of the novel. There are certain scenes in it which I I can still really clearly visualise.
We should say
and
it's
it's
about...
a sort of a page turner as well. It's quite dramatic, isn't it? I think there's an awful lot to commend this book, and I certainly want to read. Has she written other things?
Oh yeah,
I think she has.
There's 3 before, I think.
Yeah, I really want to read other books by Claire.
Just to give you a quick overview, if you've not read it, but no spoilers, because we're not going to do any spoilers in any of these books that we're talking about, because obviously people will still want to go and read them. This is about a family who are living in poverty in this dilapidated house. It's 2 siblings in their middle age. Their mother dies, and then they're just left.
Yeah.
To sort of, one, connect with the real world, but also deal with grief. And yeah.
No, it is. It's a beautiful book.
Okay, so my 5th is, and I think people are going to be when I go through this, like, what? Because my 5th book is Pyre and Essie. And the reason for that is I really loved this book when I read it. Really loved it. I wasn't expecting to. And for the first half of the book, I was saying to you, it's about this albatross and what's bloody else going on. And because basically we're in this sort of mythical, odd world where we meet Pyre and Essie, who's trying to sort out where he is, map it, and then it kind of expands in ways that I can't really say. He's
really sort of naive as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think that's, yeah.
Well, also, I think it's a really interesting way of looking at trauma.
Yes.
This book is a fascinating fact, and there was a particular storyline that comes to the fore in the second half that really resonated with me personally, just in terms of, I can't give anything away, but I will say it has faded for me since.
Okay.
And while the world is still there, there was some repetition about it that did annoy me, but I think the rest of it won me over at first. And this is what I find fascinating about having space from a book. It's just slightly lessened, and then actually occasionally I think, is it a bit of a gimmick?
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I've thought a couple of times.
No.
Oh, well, there we go. Anyway, but I actually think
I disagree.
I think that might be the winner, is what I would say. But it's not my winner. It's still very good, and by gimmicky, I don't mean like harsh. I just feel like, how can I put it? There's something about it where I thought, I don't know. It felt less original.
You cynical person.
I know.
So
I thought this would be higher with you, because you really like this.
I do really like it, but I can understand that it's a Marmite book, and I mean, I don't know. I read all of these books with no preconceptions, no sort of foreknowledge about them at all, and I read the first half.
Face again, Mum.
Oh, sorry. How awful! I read the first half as satire. And I belly laughed.
Mum, you've got to hold it here.
Oh,
I'm
gosh,
sorry.
I belly laughed.
She's not been on for a while.
Out of practice.
Yeah.
It irritated Tim.
Oh, has he read it?
Stepfather. No, me reading it irritated him because I was laughing out loud in bed and that kind of thing.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, and then of course you're plunged into this really visceral, really traumatic experience, and I think it's a really good example of how fiction can manipulate your mood, and so I think there's originality here. It's not like anything else I've ever read.
Because we do normally say what the rules of the Women's Prize are. I think it's originality, accessibility, and
what's the other one?
There's something else, excellence or something. I don't know.
Something like that. But yeah, and I do think this is genuinely original, and I did find it, as I say, very, very, very funny.
You're very funny today, that's what I'm going to say. Right, so my number 4 is How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House by Cherry Jones, which I think might be your favourite. That's my guess. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I really like this. I do think it is unrelentingly harrowing.
Yeah.
Which put me off a tiny bit. I think I'm so excited, and I don't mean this to sound, it's going to sound slightly patronising, I don't mean it to. I'm so excited for her career, because I think she's going to be a real sort of author to watch. But when I compare it to my top 3, and that's what it is, you are unfortunately comparing books that are so different. This one, whilst it was incredibly vivid, incredibly moving, incredibly powerful, I don't know. I think I struggled with this book a few times because I found it so unrelentingly.
I can understand
and
that.
I DNF'd it originally the first time. I was like, oh, I can't do that. And then when it's up to this, I was like, right, I'm going to give it a go.
It's also lots of different genres in one.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
You know, there's a kind of almost adventure element by the end, towards the end. You know, I think it's a bit of a chameleon of a book.
I think she Oh, my knee came out. Sorry, everyone. I was showing my knee off. I was so relaxed. People do unsubscribe or unfollow because my shoulders.
Then.
Right. So my knees will probably fall with my shoulders.
Trois.
Yeah. Number 3. Bronze.
Bronze.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I can't remember what
So
was
I think this is going to be your favourite. I think this is the one that Simon's going to go for. I could be very, very wrong. But again, absolutely fascinating book. Couldn't put it down. Loved all the characters.
It's about 2 sisters. We didn't really say what that one's about actually, but
I'm not very good at that, am I?
This is about 2 sisters who grow up in the same town. They run away from home, and one can pass as white, so she lives as white, and one is dark skinned, so she carries on as a black woman. And it's then what happens then, but then also we start to meet the generations below. Yeah, and it's all about that idea of white being something sort of the idea of wanting to attain whiteness and where that leads. It's a really powerful book.
It is a really powerful book, and it really.
It's also an unput-downable book, I think.
Yeah, it made me think. And again, the writing's beautiful. You know, I think it's wonderful prose. The characters are really well drawn, and the locations as well. You know, the settings in it. It's not a film, is it? It's a novel. But yeah, no, and I could imagine this as a film. Sorry,
I'm still busy trying to work out what your final 2 are.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're paying attention, Simon.
I can't have that.
You sure you don't want to nod off?
No,
He'll be snoring in a minute.
Well, let's not talk about snoring on my sofas. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know what you mean.
Mum comes and visits and sleeps.
Because I'm so relaxed.
Anyway, you like that one a lot.
I did like that one a very lot.
Sorry, it's because I was sat there going, what's the top 2? Okay. Right, so my number 3 is Claire Fuller's Unsettled Ground. I just think this is so brilliant. And the other thing that we didn't talk about, well, we mentioned that they live in poverty. I think this looks at poverty in a really different way.
Yeah, it does.
We don't talk about rural poverty very often. And I think the countryside can be set as so idyllic. Also, we know places in this book.
Yes,
which
we
I
do.
think adds a layer for me.
Yeah, we do.
Making it all about me. Yeah. But no, and also I'm excited because I know I've got a backlist of hers to go back and read.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found this pretty unputdownable.
Yeah, I would agree.
I kind of just couldn't stop reading it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to going back to all of her previous novels.
Yeah.
And actually, I wouldn't be upset if any of these won.
No,
I know that sounds a bit like I'm trying to appease, but I'm not. It's the genuine truth. I really want to read The Mothers by Britt Bennett as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, Silver.
Number 2. Right, oh God, because this is the reveal, really. Because I know what your number 1 is.
Do you?
Well, no, but I will do once. Well, I predict that I think Cherry Jones is your number 1. Even though Piranesi, I think, is a more you book. Oh, interesting.
I think this is a very
Hold it slightly
book.
further that.
Okay, very communicative today.
I just want people to be able to see what you're saying.
Anyway.
It's got a big yes on the back from where we did our...
Yeah, it has. I adored this. Yes, it's really dark and bleak, but it's somehow, even though it's full of really incredible, in the literal meaning of the word, i.e. unbelievable, almost, events, it's made really credible. So it's, you know, there are lots of sensational moments, aren't there, in this, and really, really distressing moments, but the warmth of the characters and the sense of place and the way it kind of exposes your traditional view of that part of the world, my sort of, you know, glossy magazine holiday
about the Caribbean.
Images of the Caribbean, I think, is really important.
I mean, it's even called Paradise.
Yeah, and the way people make a living or don't, and the gulf between rich and poor. I can't believe how much there is in this novel, you know, and this is the hardback copy. I mean, it's quite a slight novel in terms of you know, its physical existence.
It packs a wallop, though.
But it really packs a wallop. And I think it treats men and women, you know, you kind of got an equal split of male and female characters, haven't you? Which doesn't always happen, who are investigated to the same sort of degree. And I that's something I really enjoyed about it. And there is somehow, underneath all the bleakness, there is somehow a real warmth, which I can't quite put my finger on, but that's definitely what I felt. It seems true, this novel. I've got a student at the moment who's reading it, and he's not a massive reader, but it has really gripped him. His world is so very different to this.
So that's your number
Fabulous,
2.
yeah.
Interesting. Right, well, let's see if Mum picked right with which one my winner was. Annoyingly, she did. So, now this will surprise a lot of my viewers possibly, because I DNF'd her first novel.
Right.
Yeah, Jess's novel. Homecoming, I want to say it was called. I don't think that's right. Anyway, hang on, let me check. Rather than just, yeah, Homegoing, not Homecoming, that's what it was. This really impressed me because, one, I loved what you were saying about a woman in a very masculine, stereotypically setting. I loved that. I thought the way it looked at the love for siblings was really powerful. The complexity of mother-daughter relationships, really fascinating. I found some of it very uncomfortable, the way it was talking about animal testing, but also why we do that. The bit that I found really powerful about it was it's about a woman questioning science or God. And I don't know why, because I'm not into religion that much at all, or science actually. It just got me. There was something about this book that really got me. I loved the narration. I loved, so that was why I loved this one so much. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
It's interesting, isn't it?
We have such different lists.
Yeah, it is. It's really fascinating.
That's quite...
So,
right,
I think
your
it's very
number
obvious what my number 1 is.
Well, do you know what? I thought this might be, but then there was something about the way I've seen you talk about Cherry Jones before that thought it might have the edge. Well,
I'm a bit annoyed that I've chosen this one, just simply because everybody said, you'll love this, this will be your favourite. And I thought, you know, there's part of me that thinks, am I that easy to read? I think this is a masterpiece. I think... No
wonder you took gimmicks so badly.
I do think it's really clever, and I think it's one of those books that the process of reading it is completely enjoyable, because you're trying to unpick the situation that the protagonist is in. It doesn't make sense to him and it doesn't make sense to you, and you're in this completely different world, and ordinarily something of this ilk might frustrate me, I think, but I didn't feel frustrated at all. And it's something to do with the complete sort of there's a complete lack of guile in the narrator that I really enjoyed. So you've almost, I felt he was a reliable narrator in a very unreliable situation. And yeah, and also I like the fact that it's a female writing a male protagonist. I enjoy that because it doesn't seem to have, I don't know, this is anecdotal, isn't it? But I find men seem to write women. I'm not so sure women write men as often, but that's just a casual observation, and I'm sure, you know, it may just be to do with the things that I choose to read. I don't know. So I thought that was really intriguing as well, and I just
like, without spoilers, did you like the twist?
Yes,
I found that powerful.
Yes, and I loved the setting. I just loved exploring all these different rooms, and
it's like a labyrinth, isn't it?
Yeah, and trying to map it out. I like a map. I love a map.
But it's also a puzzle, weirdly, isn't it?
Yeah, and trying to sort of unpick that in my head, and yeah, I just think I do think it's an amazing, astonishing piece.
Do you notice the amazingness about when you take the dust jacket off?
No. What happens?
Take the dust jacket off and then look at the cover.
I don't think I usually. Oh wow.
It spells out Paranesi, just for everybody. I think it's amazing.
That is incredible.
And that's
I hadn't noticed. I do need you in my life.
Thanks so much. Well, it's because I always take the dust jacket off to read a hardback.
Do you?
Yeah. I like to keep the dust jacket really neat.
There's a
I don't mind if the dust jacket gets a bit scuffed because that covers it up.
Anyway. But we have very different attitudes, don't we, about what a finished book should look like.
We do. We talked about that this weekend. So my number one, apparently really predictable, is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. And this I think is because, well, one, I just love it. Two, I think it encompasses everything that I really want. My knees out again. Everything that I really, really want in a novel. I thought the characters were brilliant done. I think she manages to create a world of characters that are so vivid and real, but also encompass the sort of spectrum of people. It's a book that's not just about race, it's also about class, it's about gender, it's just all the things that I feel like this is the perfect book for any book group because you're going to be able to discuss so much about it. I think it's a really powerful book. I also really like books about siblings, and there's a warmth to it that I really, really enjoy. It can be very traumatic at points. I think it really looks at how relationships fracture and recover in a really interesting way. The one thing I will say, I've realised about this shortlist, trauma is the theme throughout, I think. I would agree with that. So yeah,
but then maybe that's unsurprising in a pandemic.
True. But I think this is also perfect escapism because even though you go through the emotions with these characters as they're experiencing everything, you are, I don't know, it's a page turner, but it's brilliantly written. I think it just ticks all those 3 points that we mentioned. I think it's a corker. So there we go.
Wow.
Who will be right or will we both be wrong? We'll find out. I think either on the 7th of July or the 8th of September. As we film this, it's the 13th of June.
Is it?
Yes. Sunday the 13th of June. And so, yeah, so who knows? But yeah, and like I said, on a different day, mine could have possibly shifted a little bit, actually. And normally I'm not like that. Normally it's very clear cut for me that is my winner. And also, just to address, lots of you, when I did my favourite books on the last 5 years of BookTube so far, were very upset that I didn't mention this. And I do love it, but I've read it within the last year, and sometimes those books need a bit more time.
Yeah, you can't tell, can you?
So, and although that said, I did put the profits in the top 5, and that came out just anyway. That's by the by. That video's linked down below if you want to go and see what I'm waffling on about. But as always, thank you, Mum.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Don't know what we're going to do now. If there's anything you'd like us to do videos on in the future, let me know. We are hopefully going to be at the Women's Prize party, so fingers crossed I'll get a vlog of that. Anything else you'd like to say, Mum? I don't think so. The judges have got a really hard decision ahead of them.
I wouldn't, yeah, I mean, how they
you would.
Do it, I would, I'd love it.
Oh, I wouldn't want to do it. I think you would.
Yeah, I would.
Think you probably would.
But I think it must be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, and I think this is a particularly, but I think we've said that more and more each year.
But I think this will be a very long conversation, I would imagine.
I think this shortlist is one of, because I think the strongest long list was a couple of years ago. But weirdly, I think this is a stronger shortlist.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Which is odd. I don't know how that works. That's all by the by. So, until next time, it's goodbye from me.
That's goodbye from me.
Bye. I never wave. I always wave with you, but I never normally wave.
Oh, there you are.
Well, there we are. There we have it. Right, now we have to do a thumbnail.